Here we are, another Saturday Night Live, Saturday, July 27, 2019. And hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. And we got another beautiful day today here in Toronto. It's got a little bit windy, but it's all good, all beautiful.
And we have Marco with us today.
Yeah, it's my cousin Marco.
Say hi, Marco. Come closer.
Hello.
Show your face. There you go.
He's,
Thank you.
this is my first cousin. He was injured with childhood vaccinations, which they say are safe and effective. Right, Mark?
Yes.
So he's his job is to put a smile on everybody's face in this area. Everybody knows Mark in this whole area, and all the other areas he lived in. Everywhere we go, they recognize him, and he puts a smile on everybody's face. So that's his job, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Everybody loves Mark.
How about you? You like here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome to watch him perform.
Looks like Nino.
No, that's not.
Looks like him.
Hey, Scott, Jeremy, Judith, Oliver, Steve, Cynthia. Thanks for everybody for joining.
Thank you.
So, what's going on with everyone? Everybody said silent.
Hey guys, everything's been going really good with me. The last week's been pretty full on. I've had some pretty challenging days, but I've pulled through them and just trying to embrace it all. And yeah, I've really had a few days where I've just had some really big, really impressive releases, and honestly, just really humbling to find out how much crap is inside me, and really humbling to find out where my body's at, and I'm just really grateful and blessed to be able to do this and just pushing through from one day. Week 7 now, day 49, and yeah, everything's going good. It's going good. Yeah.
So, was it you who talked about the bleach, Jeremy?
The bleach. Sorry, the what?
The bleach. Chlorine.
Oh, yeah. No, it was I think because I did this infrared sauna, and then I did 2 hot yoga sessions, and the first one I just jumped straight in like I always do, and it was 90 minutes long, and it was surprisingly intense. Like I thought, with my background and all sorts of sports and being very fit, I thought I'd just jump in and it'd be all good. But it was surprisingly intense and like lots of stretching and stuff, and I hadn't done that in a while, and I think it really kind of opened up my body, but really kind of full on with all the sweating and all the moving and the breathing, and I think it just loosened up so much stuff, along with the fact that I was just sweating so much. And I think being deeper into the fast as well, and just the whole combination of things, doing the 2 sessions and the infrared sauna, and I think lots of obstructions and just crap was getting loosened up anyways, and I think all of it just kind of just hit me all at once, and it came on all of a sudden, really quick. The second hot yoga session, I just did it. It was 6. Yeah, I did 2. There was 90 minutes and 60 minutes, and I was really smashed after the second one. And I went in for the third one, and I got 5 minutes in, and I just couldn't. I just did not feel good at all, and I just came in there, and I was just so sensitive and open up to absolutely everything around me, and just everything was just overwhelming, and I could barely do just the real basic yoga move. I was trying to kind of squat down and I was just dizzy. I just thought, no, this isn't right. This isn't something I should push through. You know, this is something where I need to back off and I need to get away from everything and reground and recenter myself because something's going on here and I just need to get out of here. And so it was good though. It was a good learning experience. It was a very good learning experience. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was.
You know, if you're not used to doing exercise and sports, and then you start a fast, you start doing all those things, it's just way too overwhelming. You know, it's just you're putting the body through a lot already. When you're in a fast, it's kicked into elimination mode, and everything starts opening up. So, you know, you need to do things at a slow, steady pace and with prudence, and that's the key to. You know, everybody wants everything now, open everything up and bang, get over. It doesn't work that way. It's a long progression of doing it over and over and over and over again. And, you know, when you go into the long ones, the longer you go, the deeper it goes. So, you know, we just take it easy on these things. Like the saunas on a fast, if you're not used to them, already people have challenges when they're doing them when they're eating, you know, when they start off and doing saunas and so on and so forth. So these are all things that take practice to allow the body to adapt to the different environments, because environment dictates outcome, internal, external. So we work with both when we're fasting, and we got to be careful with the saunas, especially. You know, some people were doing them on dry fasts and stuff, and they got themselves in trouble real fast. So slow, steady, you know, the doors are open, just keep the energies flowing and allow the soul to do the work, because that's really all that's doing the work in this physicality is the soul. So we just assist and help it keep the energetic doors open as best we can, and you know, everything, the floodgates eventually just open up as you've experienced, and things start flowing out, and it's awesome, and we embrace it. You know, some people get in a monkey mind fear mode when these things start happening. You know, they get cold, flu-like symptoms, so on and so forth. But these are awesome signs when you're fasting. It means body's, you know, got some energy left, and it's able to open the floodgates so things can move. And that's what we want, really. You know, best time to start a fast is if you get a cold or flu, stop eating. Stop eating and let it go, because when that happens, when we're eating, the body is such in an obstructive state. It puts itself in that position to purge. There's people who, if you probably heard this, people who've never been sick in their lives, they get sick once and they're gone, because the body didn't have enough energy to allow the floodgates to open every once in a while to purge. So the body just reached the level of V equals P take away O. The obstructions took over, and everything shuts down. And that's, you know, I heard lots of stories like that growing up. You know, the guy was healthy as a horse, never been sick a day in his life, and boom, gone. With no, you know, no warning, no nothing, just gone. So, you know, when we have this understanding, V equals P take away O, we really, what's the word I'm looking for? Have much respect for how divinity created our physical design, because it's perfect. The only thing is, man, the things that we do to these bodies is far from, and we get into trouble over and over. So have respect for the body and its design. And if we look at the simple operations of the universe, the body is based on those operations. You know, people keep looking in nature and nature, what nature does. I only see nature as a reflection of man's emotions. And over the years, there's things in nature that I do not believe are natural a lot these days. One example off the top of my head is chimpanzees eating other monkeys. I don't think that originally was taking place. It's the monkey see, monkey do syndrome through man's emotions. And that started happening because it's a reflection of humanity, of what we're doing to each other. We're eating and stabbing and killing each other and lying to each other. So it gets reflected in the animal kingdom. That's the way I see it, and that's my understanding. And we see it happening more and more in nature, weird things happening that were not happening in previous times and so on and so forth. So let's have respect for the design. Man thinks they understand better, but over time, what all we see is the effects of man's doings are only destructive to the planet. You know, if we're all seeing the effects of what we've been doing to this planet for the last 100 years, especially the last 50 has been crazy. Animals going extinct left, right, and center, pollution in the oceans, river streams, and on the land, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. With climate change, it's always been there, but I'm sure what man has been doing has been having an effect on what's been happening to weather. We're having more extremes in weather than I remember growing up, and so on and so forth. But for every cause is an effect, and we're seeing what we as humanity have been doing in this realm to the planet. The effects are coming out now. And we can change that, right? We can be the change we want to see. We can change that. It's only a matter of choice and decision and living it and getting those fields energetically in beaming out of your heart, because that's the strongest field in the physicality. And once that, you know, many of us start doing that, those fields are attracted by other soul beings and it feeds them. And that's really where the nourishment comes. It doesn't come from food, right? Nourishment comes from the soul. And that's why we're always freaking hungry, because we're not getting nourishment in our souls. And we're going to keep trying to feed ourselves by stuffing our faces, and we're not going to be able to find balance, as a lot of you experienced once you open up the floodgates and you start being confronted with that mirror of truth. Boy, oh boy, it's a tough thing to face for some of us, right? It was for me, and it still is, but hey, you know, once we understand, you know, correct conduct, you know, we move towards that. We have no other choice to, you know, in my view, there's no other way for us to move as humanity. We got to move in that direction. We have to support each other, love each other, respect each other, and respect the planet and all things of the planet. And the more we do that, the more we're going to see the outcome of that. And it'll be a beautiful thing, you know. We see pockets of beautiful things happening around the planet, and that's what we have to focus on. Because all the other stuff's been around for so long, we got to focus on the solutions. And so solutions is working on this vessel, because it's part of the earth. It comes from the earth. It's physicality. It's using. We're renting the materials from the planet, right? And once we pass on, it goes back to the earth. So we're just renting them for a while. At no charge. The earth doesn't charge us. How wonderful is that?
Hey, Tito.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say one thing about, you know how you're talking about how you can see man's intentions reflected in nature right now.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it's borderline just about ready to destroy itself, right?
That's what I see, yeah.
Let me tell you why I feel this is exciting, okay? To me, this means the severity of the challenge equals what is necessary to progress us spiritually. And so, you know, we may see this as a huge threat. And guess what? It is a threat to physicality. But what is exciting is if we could just all embrace this just a little bit and embrace this challenge, or I mean, and really it's not even a challenge, it's a gap, right? It just represents where the energy can't flow correctly. But once that energy is, once it's restored, or maybe not even restored, I mean, we may be the people who are actually expanding the energy field, period. So once we actually do that, I don't know, I think we could see some pretty cool things.
Yeah. The funny thing is, man's intellect. What's their solution? Let's build rockets and let's go to another planet. Let's go destroy another planet. We're done with this planet. That's right. So it's interesting how some of the monkey mind comes through. Are you okay, Mark?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, Scott, it's exactly what I feel. Exactly what you've described. It's in line with what I see and what I feel. So, let's drink some grape juice, a little herbs, and stop eating, and let's start seeing some changes, man.
That's good too. Yeah.
You like the grape juice?
Yeah. With pineapple juice.
Excellent. Reggie, I'm sure you have something to say.
Hi, Mark. How are you? I see you. Can you see us? Can you see us all?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a loving soul, aren't you? You got it. You got it all. You got love all over you. Hi, Rana.
Hello.
How are you? Oh my God, you got so many people here. Do you know? It's really pretty cool, isn't it? It's just growing, and everyone's just expanding. Hi, Steve. How you going? Like, I'm just looking at the video. People can see on video. Elaine looks pretty amazing. She looks
Awesome.
really good. Yeah, and Scotty and Oliver and Cynthia's here. How are you, Cynthia? And so many people here. It's really cool. I actually haven't got too much to say because I don't want to take other people's time. And it's so nice to hear you, Jeremy, and your story and what you were going through. And that's just amazing what you're going through. God, you're going to get so many learnings from everything that's happening with you, for sure. But what I was going to say, when you're talking about mirror truth stuff, oh man, does that go deep? When you go deep, far out, like you think that mirror of truth stuff was just about facing some of those big things that you've done in life in the past, or looking at your fears. Oh man, it goes deeper than that. It goes into stuff like at the moment I'm going through some stuff. Nothing sad or anything like that, but it's the little things. It's the little things, a mirror of truth. Like something like could be even if you gossiped about someone when you were a child. Right? Yeah. Okay. So it's the you think that it's the program mind. I'm a bit not into the program mind now. I'm off that. Been off for a little while about it. And I'll tell people why in a moment. And you think it's about your conditioned mind because society is the way that it brought you up in this earth and blah, blah, blah. And you think it's the way that where you were born and how you were born here through your parents, or if your parents aren't around, or if you're fighting with your parents and all that sort of stuff, you're born in the wrong family. If you think it's about, I'm born in the wrong country, I'm in the wrong town, I'm in the And, so when you go into comparison, right, because we all go into comparison, and that's just a tribal instinct, because comparison is really about survival. So it's about fear, flight, and freeze mode. It's about surviving and which tribe you're going to belong to, but now we use comparison against one another. If you go into comparison, that's a mirror of truth there for you to really look into if you're comparing. But it goes so deep, this mirror of truth, that and the integrity and how you stand in your correct conduct, it is full on. Like if you were a child, I've done this, I'll give you an example. I remember when we were in England, with there's 7 other kids and 2 sets of parents in one house. And I remember when I used to go to, it was just called nursery at school, used to run back home, and there was mulberry trees behind, there's a park behind us, and there was mulberry trees there, and I used to run to the mulberry trees, and I used to con my younger sister to come with me because you know what happens when you eat mulberries is that your mouth stains, right? So I didn't want to get into trouble. I didn't want to be the only one that got into trouble eating the mulberries, right? So I used to take my younger sister because my younger sister, well, if I got into trouble, she got into trouble too. But I could easily blame her a little bit more because she's a bit of a crybaby, and I wasn't. I was more about fun. So I used to take her with me, and we eat the mulberries, and we get home. Oh boy, did we used to get in trouble! But I used to throw her in front of me, that she would actually take the blame from the siblings. When I was the one, I was the manipulator. I knew as a child when I actually even did that and I manipulated the situation for myself. It's a very little thing. And people can say, oh, you're just a child, you know, you're just growing up, blah, blah, blah. But you know right then, even more so as a child, you knew, I even knew, I went back there, I knew that I was not in right conduct. I knew. So it's those things. It's about all the people you've been gossiping around behind your back at work. It's about when you blame your neighbour for starting up the lawnmower. It's even, like I think Jesus says it in his scriptures as well, not just referring to Jesus, just comes up in my mind, that it's not even about the action, it's always about the thought. So you don't even have to act it out. You can just have the thought, okay? And then you are not in right conduct. And it has nothing to do with my program mind told me to do that. Oh, I blame everyone else, or it's this and this. Oh, where did these thoughts come from? Oh, they come from outside of me. Someone else gave me these thoughts. This is the way society is. Blah, 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 blah. You know, no. Because society is still made up of our creator, okay? We are the ones that vote the governments in. We are the ones that do this. So we take full responsibility in that. And then you try and fight them. You try and fight this. You try blame others, or you don't think you're blaming, but you are blaming. Let me tell you right now, I reckon even when you woke up, you were blaming something for something or someone, or even this fast. Oh, Master Fast doesn't work. Oh, I couldn't get my grape juice down. You know, what's wrong? You know, it's simple as that. It's just as simple as that. Oh, Gina, you're all wrong about the juice. Why do we drink red juice? You know, that doesn't make sense to me, you know. And when you kind of realise, I'm realising, like, every thought that I have is about correct conduct. Holy moly, this is like, wow. This is what I mean when I've been going on about, I think, for the last month or month and a half about the manipulator. I couldn't work out, like, I was going through, why do I feel so sinned? Why is this so, like, I just wanted to like pray to God and just ask for forgiveness for everything I've done in my life. And I'm not even really, if you want to do comparison, I'm actually a really good human being. Even before coming to all my life, I've always given and served and done so many good things. And I'm saying, God, why do I feel this? Why do I feel the unworthiness? You know, why do I feel that so often? Like, I always say to God, I don't deserve this love that's coming through me continually. Like, why do I feel these things? You know, like, why can't I grasp that love and hold on to that love and contain you in me? You know, so it's just all those things. And when you really get down to it, man, the day you were born, you know, even though you come through your birth canal, even when you're about 1 month old, you were already manipulating, already crying out for your mum's milk, giving her a hard time. Can I share just one experience that come up? It's very personal, but I don't mind sharing if people are willing to honour it, if that's okay. Yeah, thanks. I remember in my mid-teens, right, I remember I wanted to be with God so much, right? I even remember then, like, God, I think, I'll say something in a moment, but I want to be God with so much that I actually told my mum, I manipulated my mum. I said to her I was going to transition, I said I was going to kill myself, not for depression, not for anything like that, but to actually be with God. And she slept in my bedroom for 3 nights, so I wouldn't do it. And I was going to do it. I told her I was going to do it because I said, I want to be with God. I don't want to be here. And the love of God was still even strong then. I made her sleep in my bedroom all night, stay awake so I wouldn't go through with it. And that come up. So I just cried in that so much. I have to go. I've forgiven myself and forgiven her, and she probably won't even remember. But I actually did that to manipulate that situation just so I could be with God. That she didn't want me to go, that she stayed there. And I've never done it again, never ever asked for that again. So it was just that one time. And I went there, and it was just like, oh my God, I did that to her. It had nothing to do with anything, about me. I did that to her, my mum, I made her suffer just that one time. And then I've done other things as well. So when you really go back into this stuff, like you go Mirror of Truth, just everything you do, like even now, like I'm just thinking about everything I'm doing now, anything like if a thought comes up, like I don't say something unless, well, actually sometimes it's not even me talking now, it's God talking, but so I don't even have to think anymore. When you go into that space where you have the channel happening, you're like, it's just all very pure, it's very, very loving, and that, so you don't even have to think about the mind tends to get faded away and dissipates. But all these little tiny things, even gossip at work, like I've done so much gossip at work, like I'm going, oh my God. But you can actually go through and you can go forgive, you can go into that energy space and you can get rid of it. So it's like a broomstick, and you're just tidying up the crumbs. That mirror of truth. So these people that are facing these big mirrors of truth, like fears and stuff, mate, wait till you start going deep. wait till that all happens, like that just goes into another whole different realm of letting go and releasing. And you've got this never stops, Gino and Rana, as you would probably know, and everyone here, this never stops. You become so empty in your vessel that the only thing that really dwells in you more is God or the divine or that high energy field compared to what you were. You're still there, but you're not there. Like it's the presence of divine just comes and just resides in you, and you're walking around with this everywhere. Every time I go meet another new human being now, so many of them might look in my eyes and I go, well, it's just okay. And if I get a glimpse, I just quickly try and do some form of loving on the in through their eyes if I can. But it's just a really truly experience that correct conduct, Gino, and what you've talked about since I've known you is very, very. I can confirm and agree that the mirror of truth never stops. It just keeps coming up, and it's just really, really quite amazing. And
we probably got terabytes and terabytes of information from this life only.
Yeah. And and the funny thing is, if you work on you, I've got 48 cousins. My mum's one of 9. My dad's one of 5. So a massive, big family. When I feel my working on me, I'm actually working on them. So you don't have to go, like I don't have to go ask forgiveness from my mum, for example, right? Because, our relationship's getting deep with me and my mum. So when you go into this stuff, you notice your relationships with your family has a transition. They don't even know what's even happening to them. So it's so that also, as you say, you don't have to worry about your ancestor stuff. Don't worry about what ancestors gave you. That's all. Just don't worry about that. Like, don't have to go into that distraction. All you have to do is pretty much what Eve told me in the first 108 when I visited her in the other realm. She says, so you just got to work on you and you go back to the light. The rest will all be sorted. That's pretty much coming into manifestation for me now. Like I can see the manifestation of that in that spiritual realm. So all you got to do is pretty much work on you when you're cleaning out those channels. Keep working through that. The stuff that comes up to the surface, and the stuff that I talk about, even now, these little mirrors of truth, which are actually quite big, actually. But this stuff that comes up, they just come up to the surface. Some of them are for teachings. Like I find some of them just there to teach you, but you must allow it to release or, flow through as quick as possible, because I think what this master fasting has taught me the most is as we're releasing through our physical body, we're releasing those emotional stuff as well. And then then you realize that when you're actually doing the releasing and that's happening, you're not doing it for you, you're actually doing it for other people, right? It's always for other people. This shit's got nothing to do with you. When you work out that bit, like when you've got, a sore neck, or if you've got a pain or whatever it is, when you heal and release that, it isn't healing and releasing for you. It's never for you, It's never for you. So when you go to that space, then you have a realization, oh man, this shit's really deep and big. And then if you can, I think when you learn to live, this is where I'm doing, I'm learning to live in the human experience of the divine dwelling in me, then your surrender and trust has to go deeper. So everything goes deeper, like it goes into this other level. And then it's not scary. It's pretty awesome, because the rewards that you get are just amazing. Like for you personally, you just sort of, like, it's quite pretty cool, Gino and Rana. So I don't know if I make sense, but does that, yeah. Does that make sense to other people? Because I know sometimes I go somewhere else and may not make sense to people. But just, like don't forget that I've been fasting, like this is 100, I must be close to 160, I think. I haven't counted my days, and I did that 108 and I had that short break. So maybe people may not ever experience what I'm going through and may not ever understand, and that's okay. It doesn't matter, because it's just wherever you are at the moment. And the fact that, love's all around here and we're expanding with our growth, it's doing it together. It doesn't, it's just doesn't really matter. You just got to say yes to what you're able to do right now. But I want to talk about the prayer thing, but I'll let other people talk. I might talk about it at the end.
Yeah, that's bang on. It's there's no stone left unturned in the mirror of truth. No, even for the littlest tiny things. And as you mentioned about the thought is already as the act, because the intent and emotion comes through the thought. That's creation itself. So whether we manifest it or not, it's already manifested in the other realms. And so we have to be prudent and keep our heart as pure as we possibly can. So we only can allow, the correct conduct thoughts, I guess you want to call them, to come through. We will also attract or tap into others' thoughts, but what are we tapping into? We're all one anyway. And we're in this realm and we're tapping into all that information all the time, because we're all part of the one. So the more we put in the love and the balancing fields, the more we can affect the others, because the love is the strongest field, and that always feeds the weaker fields, everything below, and the lower fields, and so on and so forth. So we do the best we can and to stay in that realm. And I've not seen anything come close to fasting to get you into those states and to allow that mirror of truth to be right there in front of you. And you can run, but you can't hide. We can go stuff our faces back with food again. And what are we going to do? Keep stuffing our faces? Just keep running? We know the outcome when that happens, right? Yeah, we can have fun eating. I'm not saying that but what we're always talking about is if we keep fasting as part of as our lifestyle, and the food as secondary, just to have fun and try and keep some balance in this eating world, everything changes. Fasting is the lifestyle. I'm not particular about what others think about the terminology of fasting. Others say fast has nothing to do with breatharianism. Fasting is what all the ancients talked about and everything. Breatharianism is kind of like a new terminology that people brought forward.
It's about less is more at the end of the day.
It's all about less is more.
It's not about different terms. It's about, you know.
We have our own definition of fasting. It's a lifestyle, and it's tapping into different energy forms versus physical foods. That's what fasting means to me, and that's the definition I put to it.
And yeah, and maybe some people mean that it's it shouldn't be looked at as an event, and we completely agree with that. It's a lifestyle, and it's not something to be done once.
That's probably what they really mean. It's not an event. This is a lifestyle.
Yeah, but we know that already.
So
yeah.
as soon as I opened Donald Eric's Mucusless Diet Healing book and I started reading it, I go, this is a lifestyle. This is not an event. And it just...
And he does talk about less is more as well, right, in the book, because he's against overeating, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, he talks about the transition period and so on and so forth. And
yeah, like gluttony, I think he talks about, right? He did mention it's not good to overeat. So, yeah.
Overeating is...
not only the mucusless diet, but also overeating was a thing that he mentioned.
Overeating is a punishment for whatever. It's
it is a punishment.
It's a strong emotional field that's coming up, and we don't want to face it. So we're trying to do everything we can through stuff in our faces so we can feel physical pain, because it's much easier to deal with than the emotional pain. That's really what it is. And many people can say whatever they want, but that's nearer truth to me, man. And you'll keep reaching for that food because it's, man, I'd rather have all this pain in my joints and head and elbows and heart. I don't want to feel that emotional stuff. No way.
Yeah, because once the body's not busy physically healing what we just ate, it's gonna go deeper. And then we have to face the mirror of truth. We have to face ourselves. Yeah.
What colors?
Yeah, that's true. It's true, Rana. Yeah, you come to that place where you really got to truly face yourself. And then, actually, you do guys are doing it, because when you go check yourself out in the mirror every now and then, when you look in the mirror, you go, oh, who are you? And don't recognise you and all that sort of stuff, because you see your reflection differently. And when you're releasing, it's such a powerful thing that even though you're going through that suffering at the moment to release the emotion, and you go, oh shit, this stuff's hard, this bugger this, you go through it and you go, man, like some people who may even cry for a whole week about an emotion. And then all of a sudden you go, look at the mirror and you look at yourself and you look at your reflection, you go, like I do this nearly every day. Like I look at I don't know, I'm sure others will do this. You go, who are you? Like you're looking at yourself, because you see a different image. You don't see this. Yeah.
Especially once you start getting into 60, 70, 80, 90 days. Who's this?
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's been released because you feel lighter, right? So you physically feel lighter and you feel the space in your body and everything's just all happening. And then you have these moments which happens a lot to me.
You feel the space in your body. Yeah. Exactly what you just said there. V equals P, take away O, right? You're moving out the obstructions in the physical. We're locked up in the physical, but they actually come from the emotion, right? And downwards. And they're locked up. And that's why, you start freeing that space and your body starts moving, opening up. You can do much more stretches.
Like you feel like you want to exercise, like around day 40 and beyond. You feel like you want to move. Your body wants to move. You don't have to take yourself to the gym, your body wants to move. And I love that. That's when I like to work out. I don't like to work out when I'm eating. I don't like to work out not even at the beginning of a fast, but maybe after a month, 2 months, I feel like, okay, now my body really wants to move, and it's so nice. It's just flowing. I mean, of course, the fluid is flowing way better, and things are, the obstructions are leaving, and the circulation is better. I mean, why is it, how come we feel cooler in the summer when it's hot and warmer in the winter when it's cold? Like the body is moving, things are moving, maybe not at the beginning of a fast when the body is detoxing heavily, but once you get used to it, you will really appreciate that your body temperature is much the body is adapting to the environment much better. You will start appreciating that, but it takes time. Many people complain that they're cold when they start a fast, right?
Even just going to raw foods, people get cold.
Yeah.
When they fast, oh yeah. Yeah, I froze for the first 2 years. It was interesting. Even in the summer, I was cold all the time. But
it goes away, right?
Yeah, your body balances out until you plug it up again. When you plug it up, you're overheated all the time. That's why people that are
in the summer, especially
overweight, they're always hot. Even in
Yeah.
the winter, they're sweating. Your body's overworking.
But it's funny because you're more cold in the winter when you're not clean. Like, yeah, maybe sweating. Yeah, sure, sweating the toxins, but
It's the thyroid, which regulates temperature, is plugged up, so it's not able to regulate enough heat in the system. This all gets worked out over time, and it's awesome. But anybody else have a mirror of truth?
Hey, Gino, I actually do. It's kind of intense though, because like I just a kind of precursor to this. I feel like the time for me to suffer is nearly at an end, and it's just a really I guess I can't really put words to it other than expansive.
We can't point fingers at anybody. That's the beautiful realization, right?
Right, and so now I want to explain the events that led to this place, and they were really intense. Last weekend we had a family reunion, and it was on the right side of the family. And I hadn't gone to other family reunions in the past because this was the family that kind of messed me up. Or at least that was my perception at the time, right? My dad was just such a perfectionist that I nearly have a mental breakdown if I can't do something perfectly. And I just put extraordinary amounts of pressure on myself to like learn absolutely everything possible so that when I do it, I'm not going to be the fool who's doing something stupid just because I didn't read or didn't, follow instructions, etc. And I trying to eliminate this negativity, I mean, seriously, it was just so heavy inside of me. I could never really figure it out. I've forgiven my dad, and what was really cool is because of the work that I had done in my previous 108-day fast, I was able to maintain a frame of forgiveness, even though some intense things are about ready to happen. Well, anyways, I looked at my dad's brother, my dad's sister, and then I looked at all their kids and everybody, and that dry fast that we just did a little while ago had opened me up so much. I was like, holy crap. Okay, this isn't just me. This is like a really strong familial strength and weakness type of thing. And it was like almost overwhelming. I was just like, everybody in my family to some extent has, experienced the exact same thing that I had. Later that night, after I got back from the hotel room, and you guys, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know I just said that with such ease, but I seriously spent 3 days just sobbing. It's a miracle that I mean, I can just talk about this now and it doesn't bother me. It's like, I mean, literally it's gone. It's like one of those things where you read about other people happening to other people and you're like, oh, that's not going to happen to me. That can't ever happen to me. And that's what I always believed until this weekend. So then that night, as I was in the hotel room, I got really super close to my soul because I just started to surrender in a way that I hadn't previously been able to. And I didn't realize that my soul knew everything since the time I was born until now. Like it knew everything. And so at these times we're confusing, you know, it's kind of like almost like a black hole. The closer you get to it, you think you're finally there, but it just gets darker and darker. Well, this time it was different because my soul was like, no more of that. You're ready. And essentially it shown me things from early on in my childhood, from like when I was 2 and 4 and 5. And there was an experience that I had when I was 5 years old and I was at church. And I'm sorry, this is going to be a little bit, I'm not trying to be weird. This is just what happened. Some older child pulled me into a room and did things to me against my will and didn't, you know, and this was super confusing for me. And right at that moment, I became angry with my parents and I didn't even realize it. And I've always wondered why. Why do I have such a hard time with my dad? I was 5 years old and had forgotten completely about this experience where I was just so pissed that he wasn't there to rescue me, so to speak, that it kind of, you know, now I can see, like I saw how my energy of the situation had also contributed to the overall effect. And so, anyways, that had been bothering me my whole life. Usually when I talk about things like that, I would just lose it emotionally. It would be like I'm having almost a mental breakdown. But all I can say is just keep pushing, or just keep allowing, keep doing whatever you need to do, because you will shed the denser energies of this life. Especially as you fast and as you allow. I mean, and just realize, you know, that for me, this was tremendously scary. It was probably one of the scariest things I've ever gone through in my life. But going through it on the other side now, there's a level of peace and just confidence. Like my job used to be just drive me nuts. It was so stressful. And then like on Thursday of this week, I was sitting in my chair, running my reports, you know, doing the coding, and I was singing a song, and I was like, all of a sudden I just stopped and I was like, when was the last time that I was in a corporate environment and I just felt like, you know, I was happy. So as scary as the mirror of truth can be, like literally it can be flat out terrifying. Just know that if you just allow, it's really your soul. Your soul's initial response is, I've got to heal the worst shit inside of you so that I can communicate you with a greater degree. So you say physical form, allow my soul to communicate, and that energy goes out into the universe. And the first thing it brings back are those traumas that messed you up. And the reason why is, how can you sit here and be okay? And I mean this literally, observing anything that happens so that your soul can make a decision if you have all this binding in your physical form. You can't. And so even though it seems cruel and brutal, it's really your soul's most loving thing that it's doing to you, because as soon as that negative energy passes through you and then goes up and out, on the other side is undescribable.
Awesome, brother.
Amazing.
Did somebody mail in what I'm going through this week or what? Unbelievable.
What's happening?
I don't think things started emerging like Tuesday. And I was in my 3-day fast. And I couldn't process it, honestly. I couldn't process what was going on. So I did exactly what you said. I started overeating.
Yeah, man. We've all been there.
I don't, everything started just bubbling. Ranji knows some of the things I'm talking about. And I don't know how to process it. I have no clue. I've never done this before. This is part of what drove me into the alcoholism, because I can't deal with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to. But now, some days after it, I know I can't process it while I'm eating.
Yeah.
I need to go. I know I need to go into long fast.
I don't think we have to put the energy to try and figure out how to do it. I think it'll all happen on its own if we allow the process with patience, persistence, consistency, and just observe and embrace whatever comes. Everybody's looking for, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. So it works in autopilot. This is my understanding. And we've seen what happens when people start embracing and letting it flow. You have this eating bout happening. Okay, no big deal. Next time you'll go a little further, right? And then the next time a little further and a little further. That's what I've experienced. And eventually it starts opening up more and more and more. And then you get hit with even stronger emotions from somewhere else. Where do they come from? Like Ranji was talking about. Like me, all these years, I've been fasting. It never even flinched me. I have challenges here and there, but bang, when I had started taking care of my mother, my goodness gracious, to deal with all that emotional stuff, because it's part of me, right? My goodness gracious. It's the biggest challenge I've ever had, right? So we continue. And if at that moment we're just, for some reason, not able to allow the process to move on, we're going to eat, and it's okay. And then we know, okay, I'm gonna jump in again and try it again. And eventually there's going to be the time where you're going to be able to release that one there. And then another one will come up. And it's okay, right? Because where does it stop? I don't know. I don't think there is. Because as we were talking earlier,
60 years of life.
We got
it's not going to go like that. I understand that. But it's so freaking alien to me.
Like, where do we talk about this stuff? Who talks about this stuff?
Nobody.
Growing up, for me, everything was hidden, hide everything, suppress, and now we're going through the fasting lifestyle. This stuff's all coming up over and over and over. I'm watching everybody else suppressing, and suppressing with that way and many other ways. But
it's powerful.
Yeah.
It is extremely powerful.
Talk about emotion and intent. This is what we're talking about. You can't stop emotion and intent once it's set. You can't stop it. That's why it's creation itself. You cannot stop. Once that's set with the thought and you put it in motion, look out. You'll move mountains. No need.
As soon as it started coming, I said, shit, this is Gino's mirror of truth.
Not mine.
I know, but that's where I learned it, so it's yours. Oh boy, it was intense. I've never experienced something like that.
Yeah,
I can't even define it.
Yeah, you forget it. Don't even try. But now we can see and understand, like through our experience, the power behind it. Oh, it's the rockets. Or what's that? That's peanuts. That's no power.
Unbelievable.
Like, just think about one man, like an example, like Gandhi, what he did for India.
Yeah.
That power of intent and emotion completely free a whole country. That's what, this is what we're talking about. Like, I get goosebumps thinking of this stuff because, you know, I've went through a lot of these experiences, and I'm still going through a lot. Like, you know, and it's wonderful and amazing and beautiful, and it's amazing to have you souls here to support and inspire each other, and you know, and go through this stuff, because I don't know where else we can do this. You know, I've been through all kinds of different groups, and
You know, you know, and that's how we want to look at it. It's a lesson for us to learn.
yeah.
There's something for us to learn, and just just learn as much as you can, and keep going. Move forward towards your dreams. Write down your goals and have an idea of what you want, and be persistent. And,
Well, it didn't scare me, so that's the good.
yeah.
Wasn't. I'm not frightened of it. I just don't know how to process it. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's for everybody. That's it's gonna be ups and downs for everybody, and it's a learning experience. Yeah. Just keep working, and never give up, because we don't want to give up on ourselves. I feel by giving up on ourselves, we're giving up on our Creator, on God, and that's just wrong. You know, that's like having no faith. So why are we alive? Like, we have no faith, no respect for ourselves, and so it's
The mirror of truth is a magnet, in a sense, because the soul's going to pull you towards that. It has no other way for it. It's always going to guide you towards the mirror of truth. And then we're in this physical realm. For example, you know, people can go on this fast, everything, bang, and then that mirror of truth hits them, and then they try and escape with the food, right? And then you don't see them for whatever, a year or two. And then all of a sudden they come back, because that mirror of truth is drawing you all the time.
It reveals a lot of truth.
And that's what I see. You know, you can fight it and fight it and fight it.
You always go back to the truth. The truth always wins. Even if you don't go back to it because you're not ready, you know, if you have seen it, you will not forget.
A good way, I don't know if you've tried it, but we've talked about this in the past, about writing down the things that are coming up with a pen, not on a computer or whatever.
Yeah.
Actually down, and then burning it and letting it go back into the earth to recycle. And you may have to do that, you know, 5, 10, 20, 30 times for the same thing. And eventually it stops coming up, because you've been able to handle it energetically, because that's what you're doing, right? We're working on the energetic side to allow the physical side to balance itself out. And the energetic side, you can't even compare the power difference to the physicality. They're just, it's in a whole different realm. You know, that's why when we were talking about dead cooked juice, you can't even put it in the same category as anything on the planet, because we're not dealing with the physicality of it. And I don't know how many times we got discussed that, but it's starting to hit home for some people. It's the energetics that we're working with, the field strength of these things, the spirit, the soul of the things we're using, and that's why we see the power of living this type of lifestyle. It's nothing to do with physical.
Yeah. How does it work? It doesn't matter.
We don't need to know.
What we know is that it works.
Yeah, we don't need to know
for
how.
many people, and we can have theories about how it works, but we don't have to go too much into the details, because the journey is like, there's much more to enjoy than to focus on reasoning.
We start gaining some understandings at certain levels, and that's about it. And it doesn't matter if it's 100% accurate or not, but as long as we embrace and allow the autopilot to kick in and let that happen, and then the transformations are there. You see it through the physical, but it's in all the other planes 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more. That's why the physical has changed. You see the effects in the physical afterwards, as we're working in energetic side of things. And it's a
Well,
beautiful.
I tell you, I also saw the depth of the addiction to food, because as soon as I started overeating, it changes the whole mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it changes exactly what I'm feeling. And same thing that the drugs and the booze did. It changes it, because I don't want to feel. This is how I know how to not feel.
Yeah. Exactly, Steve. Exactly.
And it's instantaneous.
Yeah.
Instantaneous. The minute you put that food in the mouth, the minute you put the booze in your
Yeah.
instantaneous.
Excuse me 1 second.
You know, Steve, one thing I wanted to tell you, you're probably in one of the most painful places right now,
Oh yeah.
and being in this uncertainty place, okay? And I know for you right now, it's probably a little bit easier to identify with what's physically happening in your mind and the reaction your body's having to those feelings. I can also see on the other side of you, the soul side of you is calling you right now. And I just want you to know, you may not know how to process this right now, but if you will just allow this to happen and be patient with it, your soul will teach you everything you need to know in order to process it, without a doubt. I'm 100% confident in that will happen.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. Good.
I just like to honour Scott and Steve to be so open, and you know, that's deep stuff, and to come out like this on Zoom with a beautiful family like us, your healing will take place, and you know, I really honour your soul, your light, to do that sort of stuff, because it's courageous. Not many people will even they may sit with it or try and work it out yourself, but I really do believe that you can't do it on your own. You know, the soul guide, it's true, the soul will guide you and help you. Like, soul's helped me so much. It's just incredible. And you realise it's happening, and then all of a sudden, you know, you wake up the next day and you think, how come I feel so great? Like, it's all, and then you reflect back. I think when you go through this process and you end up reflecting back on it, you go, wow, the surrender and trust is so huge that you don't realise until afterwards, when you reflect back, what the soul's actually been doing, because the soul's actually already healed you now. It's already been done. So the whole and healing thing has already happened. It's just, like, I think Gina always says, the matter world is slow. It just takes time to have that in your body, in your space. And you are right, Steve, you know, when you are in that empty space in your body, and you're not consuming, that all starts to happen for you. The healing it's there. It's already there. It's just a process of realizing, because you're having this relationship with the soul. It's like this really deep, intimate relationship. The soul's guiding you. You're surrendering to it. You're moving through it. You don't understand it because you can't understand it. There's no way our intellectual mind can really process this in some ways. We want to process it, but we can't, because you've got to sit in it and be with it. And then when you reflect back, because you're going through so many things, because it's not just that one thing, there's all these other things happening. When you heal one big thing, you tend to heal a lot of many lovely, wonderful, smaller things at the same time, because it happens instantaneously, like you said, Steve. That's what I found with me personally, is that relationship you have with the soul, and that deep, deep, deep trust and surrender with it. And then it gives you more, you give it more. The relationship is the only relationship, in all honesty, that you really need, because that's the one that's the most fulfilling. And then when you go into the human world, those other relationships with any other souls, they improve. They feel that relationship you have with the divine or God or the energy field or whatever you want to call it. And then when you come out into this human experience and you see all the other souls, either that have been here before, gone, and the ones that are coming in the future, they're all there, and you're having this relationship with them. And like, I think I was talking last night about the spider. I mean, it's only a little thing, right? But you have this deep relationship with everything, every little soul. Like even a stone, I have a relationship with a stone. And you go in the mind, that sounds a bit crazy, but actually in the soul, it's not, because what you're doing is when you're having a relationship in the matter world with all these things, you're actually deepening your relationship with the soul. So that infinity loop of giving and receiving, it just expands and expands. But I don't even understand it. Like, I don't understand this stuff, but like you go, wow, this stuff just goes deep. And then, but what you've got to learn to do, and I'm still learning to do, is that you sit in the surrender of it, and you don't have to do anything. There is nothing for you to even understand or comprehend or even do. You don't have to forgive anything. Like, it's already been forgiven. All you need to do is just be in that and let that just happen. Like what Scotty said before, it's just like it just all happens, and it's perfect timing. But I have to agree with Gino and you, Steve, like, yeah, I'm sorry to say I have to fast. I'm unable to the food. If I know what happens, I know what happens in my 2-month break. I know it. And that's the key thing. That's the key thing, because the shit's so deep that we carry with our lineage, that stuff's deep. So the fasting is, or fasting a long time, I don't like the word fasting either. It's a normal way. It's a natural state that we live in, is the perfect state for the soul to reside and the divine to reside in us. And the fact that we have this master fasting group, I'm sorry to say there is no other group out there that gives this support, because all those people, if they go to some other 21, sorry to say, these people that do 21-day initiations, I know they work, they're wonderful. It's just a glimpse into the world, but you got to continue, and where do you get that support to continue? Like, it isn't there. It's just, that's why people go back, I think, and it's harder for them. It's much more of a struggle. And that's where sometimes you struggle, Steve. Most people that go back eating, they'll struggle because you've got to keep going. Like what Scott said, like, it's so true. You got to keep going. You got no way out. You got no way out. If you want to have this human experience, there's no way out for that. But yeah, no, I really appreciate you and Scott and everyone here, even though that you may not be speaking, but you be thinking about something, and it's already working on you without you even having to speak, because you don't have to speak. It just happens for you.
Yeah, it's we can do it part-time, and that's the beauty. At whatever pace you can handle, you don't have to do anything crazy or anything. We have it structured so you can work out any level you want. And one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. I had to deal again with Mama, as and this is my challenge that I have to work with now. So when somebody's mental stability is deteriorating, if any of you have worked with that, you know how challenging that could be. So we do the best we can in the situations we're in, and that's all we can do, and allow the processes to unfold with those things. But fasting is the natural state. I truly, wholeheartedly believe that. There's just no way eating can be a natural state, from my experience in this realm. There's just no way. It's not possible.
Well, yeah, when you experience long fasts, and you keep repeating fasting and eating, fasting and eating, fasting and eating, then it will be so clear which one is the natural state.
Like you said, Steve, how instantly it changes your state. Instant, just like a drug or just like whatever.
Just put
alcohol.
First bite.
It's the same thing. There's no difference. This is the power of environment dictates outcome. We're changing the environment when we put food through us. Or, we go from, in nature, from a warm area to a hot area, a cold area, whatever, freezing area. We're changing the environment, so it's going to affect. So every time we're putting something in our body, we're going to change the environment and the effect it's going to have on us. So
especially the food ingestion of things, I think really, really affects the human body. Like, of course, also alcohol and drugs.
Yeah,
and food.
Because
really
food
affects.
takes so much more energy to process. Synthetic drugs, that's a whole different ballgame. But even the synthetic drugs, they come from the earth, believe it or not. They've just been manipulated. They all come from the earth. And they're corrupted, and they do certain things because of the way they've been restructured and changed. So that's because of man's wonderful intellect, that they know better. And then we see the effects of that over time in the environments.
Yeah, like I remember when I broke up, like my last long one, which was 41-day fast. It was my birthday, and I said to myself, I'm just gonna eat this meal or today, and tomorrow I'm gonna get back on the fast. But that does not happen. Like, it almost never happened that I broke a long fast, and I said I knew it, like as I'm eating the first meal, like it's a small meal. As I'm eating, I'm like, yeah, no, this does not do it. And tomorrow I'm getting right back on fasting, and I was so confident, telling everybody, yeah, please, everybody take the leftovers. I'm fasting tomorrow, And the next thing, I find myself eating the next day. Like I can't. I can't get back on the fast immediately. There is a trigger that wants me to eat more. It's amazing.
One more meal.
And then I say, okay, well, I don't feel great. I might as well eat something else, because I broke it. Yeah. It's funny.
Gina and Rana, don't you think that sometimes, I used to struggle, like, why do we struggle so much with this, right? But I mean, I really feel like on the master fast, it's because the longer you fast, your vibration increases.
Oh, yeah.
Really, and sometimes it goes really high. And, let's just say you're about here, right? I mean, even fruit is going to be probably like way down here. And so, like, I think that usually for all of us, the first meal after breaking your fast isn't what kills us, right?
Yeah.
I think that just because of the way food is, it just instantaneously, condenses all those thoughts. You're no longer at that higher plane. Everything condenses down to this level. And then you're just like, oh, I'm on the level of physicality, so I'm craving food.
Yeah.
Almost every single one that went through these long fasts, when they ate, it was like, okay, nothing special, or is this appointment, or you know what I mean? Because the food is never going to give you what the fasting state's going to give you.
Yeah.
It's impossibility.
Yeah. Maybe the experience of, like, if it's a delicious fruit, if you're lucky enough to find the best, like when I break my fast, okay, I broke it a few days ago, 5 days ago. I broke an 11-day, and Gino had a tomato from the garden sitting in the room. What was it, in the kitchen? A ripe tomato in the kitchen. He put it right there, in the middle of the countertop. And I'm like, okay, why is it here? We're both fasting. Why? It's just staring at me. And I smelled it, there was no smell. Okay. I was like, okay, it must taste good, even if it doesn't smell. And then I find myself, Gina goes to bed, and I find myself like 10, 11 o'clock, really wanting to bite. I was like, you know what, just bite it, eat it, and tomorrow you fast again. And I ate it. And I remember it was not good. I was like, in my head, it was amazing. And I ate it, and it's like, no, this is not good enough for me. So at least, you know, if you're breaking your fast because in my head, it's the best tomato I've ever tried, and it's definitely not, you know. I've tried much better tomatoes. So so it's really disappointing. Maybe if you're eating the best fruit you've ever eaten, breaking your fast, maybe, you know, maybe it will do it for you. And even that, after a few bites, you're gonna be like, I'm full, I don't need to eat this. And okay, it's good, but I don't need to eat it. Like, it's, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the tomato was big. I ate a few bites and I was like, I'm full, I don't need to eat this. But I ate it because I don't want to throw it again.
Oh, can you do, you know, you said it last week, I think Rana and Gina said it before, you know, you remember the taste of the best fruit or whatever you've ever had. Like when I was doing that mulberry thing, going through that process, I remember I was riding the mulberries. They were so sweet because I didn't want to eat the food when I got home. I just wanted to eat these mulberries, I remember. And they were so juicy in that. But I never ever have, I don't have, I mean, I know I'm in a fasted state, but I actually don't want to go eat a mulberry because the memory of that was so satisfying and so fulfilling that, yeah, you don't have to do it. Like, and I know, like, it's funny how we test ourselves. Like, do you know, putting the tomato on the kitchen bench and you're looking at it and this and that, and you know, that whole mind game and going on, and you wanted to see, well, I wonder what it tastes like. I wonder if it tastes like the best tomato that it was, you know, like before. And then it's never is it? Like, it never is, because you've actually tasted the best ever when you're in a dry state in the back of your throat with that nectar of God, and you can't beat it.
I mean, it's a very small chance that I will taste the best tomato I've ever eaten. Being 40 years old, like, it's not gonna happen right now, you know? Like, what are the chances that I'm gonna eat the best tomato today? You know, it's really small. So I don't think it's gonna happen again, you know, the best tomato, the best mango, the best, because, I mean, just imagine it's the best tomato and don't eat it. Enjoy it without eating it. Yeah, and yeah, it does. Actually, what I say is, when I break my fast, I feel depressed. This is how I feel. And Scott was saying that the vibration goes down. Totally. I mean, I was telling one of my clients, she's like, "Oh, you look a little bit down, you know." I was like, "Yeah, I'm eating. I broke my fast." And she's like, "Yeah, it's okay." I said, "Well, it started with a tomato." And she's like, "Oh, come on, it's just a tomato." I was like, "It did not taste good." At least if I enjoyed it, then yeah, no problem. I don't mind eating it, but I did not enjoy it. And yeah, people think it's okay. It's not okay. We're fasting. When you're fasting, nothing will taste good. You know, the average person will not understand because they do not fast.
Grape juice tastes freaking amazing. I don't know how people don't like it.
Yeah, you know how you like the grape juice dry.
I love the grape juice.
Yeah.
I impossible to get sick of it. It's just awesome.
Yeah, just dry fast, and you will want it so bad. It will taste amazing again.
It's when, you know, people, they got to start going through that nausea stuff, stirring up things. But we've had many got through that, and then they loved it again because it's not the grape juice. Grape juice hasn't changed.
That's right.
It's what's.
I tried the watermelon juice this week. It was pretty good.
Yeah. You made it yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Oliver went through that. He just posted.
Amazing.
Yeah, lots of people have gone through that. You know, it's and they blame the grape juice. But when you understand what's happening, you start stirring the cesspool, and it starts overflowing. You got to get it out.
Yeah, it's you know, I mean, it's amazing that we're all talking about this same experience we all have. Fasting feels much better than eating, but it's really hard to make a decision and to say that, you know, it's really hard to give up food. You know, it's a very scary thought, and I think that's why I
Well-
find myself going back to eating things that I don't want to be eating, you know, and overeating them. Like, yeah, it's pretty, yeah.
Well, that's why you don't put that thing there. I'm never going to eat food again. Why put yourself in that huge emotional challenge? That's huge. That's massive. One day at a time. Today, I'm food free. When tomorrow comes, tomorrow never comes because it's always today. Today, I'm food free.
And after 40 days, you really do not feel it, pretty much. The cravings go away, and I would say about 40 days, then you start feeling the space, and you start like the enjoyment process. Yeah.
Yeah, 30 to 40 days for most of us.
Yeah.
I think as well when you're eating, like I've had this as well, like kind of like, oh, if I ate now, would I be happy for myself or would I enjoy it? And I'm going, no, I wouldn't really. And that to me is kind of, I think sometimes it's a sign that, you know, our soul kind of spirit or whatever you want to call it says that, you know, if we're not ready to break the fast or deep down, I know I have more work to do. I need to dig deeper. And I think also what I was reading on the Esteemed Gospel of Peace, it was saying never to eat when you're angry or emotional. And I think like eating, for me, like eating in a state of gratitude or joy and enjoying every bite is really important. Like I know some people, like, you know, some vegetarians and stuff I follow on the web, and they, you know, if the food doesn't taste really good or the food, they don't eat it. Like every bite should be of, you know, joy and appreciation. And I think kind of the amount of enjoyment you have for your food and the like the emotional state, like I think it's important to eat your food for like nourishment and appreciation and not to suppress something or not to numb yourself out but as a celebration. And yeah, I think it's
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But it does something to you once you break your fast. Once it does really change our vibration, somehow. So it's
I
kind
call
of tricky. I mean, even if it's for joy, I don't
I
know.
refer to it as field strength because we don't really vibrate like we've been told. So, and you know, we're raising our field strength. It's a
Yeah.
flow of energy. We don't vibrate. That's
Yeah. But I mean, that's what we mean.
yeah. We it just increases exponentially as we go inwards. We raise it the strength more and more and more. It's,
So
when you get to the power of the soul, an atomic bomb is not even a scratch compared to the power of the soul. This atomic bomb is destructive. The power of the soul is creative. It's completely two different things. But just the power-wise, you can't even. There's just no comparison. Grain of sand.
So what do you think about like eating with joy?
Yeah,
Maybe.
this is the way you got to do it. You know, if you're not enjoying yourself when you're eating in a joyful state, best to fast. Better to fast. It's better to be miserable and fast than eat and be miserable, right? At least the body's going to be purging instead of building.
So there is such thing of eating like an enjoyment.
Of course, there's. I enjoy when I eat all the time. You know, others would say differently. That, you know, I can't believe how you eat and everything. I don't know how you enjoy it. I'm in a wonderful, joyful state in my mind. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, but I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, and I feel like when we're fasting, food, like our imagination and the realm we're in, we look at fruits and vegetables and we're like, wow, that's just gonna taste so amazing. And then when you actually break your fasts, almost for me, every time it's a little bit of a letdown because it doesn't live up to that beautiful imagination we have for those fruits and vegetables that we're looking at. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, even if you get the best possible, ripest, best grown fruit, it's still not going to compare to the fasting state. You know, it's because it's you're in an obstructive process versus a de-obstructive process, and they're not in the same category. So, but you know, no matter what, when we do choose to eat, let's enjoy it. Even though it's not the best, let's enjoy it. Okay, yeah, it's good flavors there.
Yeah.
So I'll put joy towards it because that's what we want to do. We don't want to condemn ourselves for eating because that's not a good place to be energetically. So we're going to enjoy ourselves when we eat and when we choose to eat. Let's, you know, put love and joy into it. Just like when I'm drinking my grape juice, you know, I just love it. That flavor, it's just awesome.
Nothing like grape juice.
I know there's, I remember grape juice as a kid. I used to love that flavor. And we used to have these things called a Lola. I don't know if any of you guys had them. They were big frozen kind of triangular things. Frozen, they had grape, they had cherry. Grape and cherry were my favorite. And, you know, they were shaped like a triangle, and you will cut them open. They were awesome. So, you know, you know, drinking the grape juice reminds me of those days when I was a kid.
Yeah. I mean, look at kids all around. They love juice. They love sugary drinks. I mean, it's just wired in us. We all love those. I mean, obviously nowadays those flavored drinks are full of God knows what, but
That's
they taste, yeah, but they taste like fruit and they're yummy and, you know,
like
if only we could give them pure grape juice.
You put grapes in front, pretty much every single child will gravitate toward grapes. It's very rare somebody doesn't like grapes. There is cases, but it's very rare. You know, like I've a couple of people say I can't stand grapes. What? It depends, I guess, how they grew up and so on and so forth. But grapes is an awesome food. You know, kings and queens. You know, if you look at the times of the Romans, they always had these big, beautiful grapes and stuff. And, you know, with their vomitories. You know what vomitory is, right? No?
No.
Back in the Roman times, they had the vomitories when they used to do the gluttonous parties. They would fill themselves up and they go throw it all up and start all over again.
Wow.
So I come from that lineage. You know, think about what I got to deal with. Gluttony. Wow. Italians were known for food, right? That's what they used
to. I've actually been around that because when I was younger, I used to go to friends to all-you-can-eat barbecues.
Right.
And I remember I had a few friends that, like, midway through, because they got too full, they would go to the bathroom and throw up and come back and be like, yep, I'm ready for another round of food.
Wow.
At these buffets. So I've actually been in that. So that's not surprising at all to me.
Yeah. So this is known. You can research it. But if what we just talked about, if you look at it prospectively of what's going on there, what are we addicted to? We're not addicted to the digesting process. We're addicted to the flavor of the socializing of eating. Because once it goes in, oh man, throw it up, let's do it again, because that's the joyful part, right? Being with family, friends, and that love, that connection. The food is irrelevant. You can do without the food. But we've been trained that we need to do it with the food. And everywhere you go, what's presented to us? Food. Because social gatherings are all about food and filling ourselves up and so on and so forth. So we're going to train ourselves to change our mindset and come to the new understanding that only the body feeds, hydrates, builds, balances, heals itself through soul. And once we get that understanding, we look at food in a whole different aspect. And yeah, we can eat and we can enjoy it, but that's not going to be the lifestyle anymore. My fasting is going to be my lifestyle. And I'm going to put in my mind wholeheartedly that I'll stick to eating 5 days a week or less you know, and keep it at that. Because once we start going over 5 days, it's tough. It's tough. You fall in the trap again, right? So, but the process of eating, you know, if we look back at all the times we spent with family and friends, it always goes back to relating to a certain meal, something or whatever. You know what I mean? Because the flavors, the aromas, these are very, very strong, potent memory triggers. You know, there was a guy selling business cards with odors, and he said that there is the most potent way somebody will remember you, when you give them a business card with a wonderful odor. All right. Business cards are kind of outdated these days, but they're still used seldomly.
Hey, Gina, wondering how my sister Elaine's going, because I just keep looking at her and she looks so good. So I reckon she might be fasting, if she wants to share.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm not fasting right now, but I'm getting ready to do 40 days in September.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going through a phase. I did so much fasting last year, and then I just rebounded. So I'm kind of wearing food out and getting sick of it. So it's not as satisfying. Like every day I go through that where I eat and I just keep wanting this great experience, and
It's not there.
I feel terrible at night and I keep repeating it, but slowly I'm getting really sick of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the thing is, once we start cleaning that plasma vacuum tube, as I say, once you do a long, you know, several weeks, 30, 40 days at least, you're never gonna look at food the same. And
Yeah.
put that warning up, you know, don't do 108 days. You're never gonna be the same. I don't care. You're gonna be changed so much because you tasted that wonderful feeling. And some of us have tapped into that nectar of God, like I like to say. And there's no physical food that'll give you that sensation. No matter how many times you try and how long, it's not going to come back.
Yeah.
The memory of that wonderful feeling in that fasting state will never go away. Even if you refuse to go back to that state, that memory is still there. It's not going to go away.
Yeah, I feel that. And also something that came up for me was I had an eating disorder as a teenager. So that kind of way of coping came back to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of trusted the process, and I'm through that now, but I just kind of allowed myself to binge a little bit, and I even did some purging, but I'm done with that now. And
well, what do we say? All weaknesses will come to the surface.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And they come right there. So you have to learn to allow the process and embrace it. That's it. Because you know, you've dwelled into that little space again to re-tempt yourself, whatever it felt like, and that's a good reminder.
Yeah. Yeah, very good reminder. And it's like what some of the people earlier were talking about, some of those old traumas resurfaced, and it was too much at the time. So I think it took me about 6 or 7 months of eating, but it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't help to process anything to eat. I realize that.
Like, you know, you talked about, you know, eating disorder. Eating is a disorder in my eyes.
Yes.
Right? Because it's not the natural state, but we're so programmed and conditioned to believe that we need to eat physical foods. And it's very difficult to change that programming. So what do? We do a little bit at a time. We do a little bit of time. We work at it. We work at it. We work at it to expand our awareness and understanding and belief system, so we can reprogram that. And little by little by little, you know, from, you know, we're fasting 1 day a week, then we go to 2 days a week, and then 3 days a week, and that happens over a few years, right? And then you're going looking back, and how did I ever eat 7 days a week?
Yeah.
Because that sensation, the feeling of fasting versus eating, it's just don't, you know, they're not the same.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said earlier about like I've been doing 1 day a week and it's really difficult. Oh man, that 1 day is so hard every week and I don't want to do it. So I'm going to move up to 2 days in August and see how that goes.
2 days of master fast?
Yeah, 2 days of Master Fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would highly recommend, yeah. You know, and keep, 1 day dry, 1 day liquids. You
Yeah.
can do the liquid before or after you choose, but probably better to do it after.
Before.
No, just a wash after, and then go back into food. Either way, it doesn't.
For me,
Try both.
I like
Try both.
it.
Try the liquid before. Try the liquid after, and see how you feel.
Okay.
And
Thanks, guys.
you're welcome. Is this what you're thinking for lifestyle? Like 2 days a week?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do 40 days in September. And yes, a lifestyle of 2 days a week. Ideally, I'd like to do 3 or 4, work up to 3 or 4 days a week.
That would be much easier.
Would it be? Okay.
In my opinion.
Were you
The
able?
more you eat, the more you want to eat.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you
Well,
put on some?
I'm hoping after my 40 days, then I can have some momentum and have a big reset and then do 3 or 4 days. So I'll try that when I come off my 40 days.
Yeah. Did you put on some weight?
A little bit. I still have no bum after all this time, and I carry a cushion around everywhere I go because it hurts to sit down.
Start doing some squats.
Okay.
108 every day.
Okay. 108. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Ranjit.
Anybody else?
Ron, I want you
Yeah.
to know, 3 years ago, I grew the perfect tomato. It was almost a kilo.
Wow.
It's an old variety. Brandywine. One of the best tomatoes you've ever eaten.
Brandywine?
Brandywine. It's an old heirloom tomato. And this thing was perfect. And I've never had a tomato. It's the best tomato I ever ate.
You never kept the seeds?
Oh yeah, we got the seeds. Oh, yeah. They're hard to grow though. You don't get many, and they tend to crack. This one was it was perfect.
Ah, okay.
The only one I ever grew like that. So I ate the perfect tomato on you.
Nice.
Yeah, I've had a few of them.
Yeah, maybe my perfect tomato was in Italy from the backyard. Yeah. Yeah, that was really good. I mean, it would almost split open because it's so ripe and juicy. Good. Yeah. It was delicious.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Latrice.
Hello, hello. So I am let's see, day like 85 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's 85. And right now I'm feeling a little weak because I'm doing my 2-day dry, my monthly dry. I'm at the last couple of hours, so yeah, just kind of laying down. But I was good until the last maybe 6 hours, and I started just feeling like I needed to just take it easy.
Yeah, use the tool.
But it's getting easier and easier each time. But yeah, these last couple of weeks have been very challenging for me, more on a emotional level. I had another round of heavy emotions coming up to be released. And it started when I went to a spiritual thing, this seminar, and, you know, all my friends were eating, of course. And I was used to watching people eat, not a problem, but usually it was in my house. And this time it was people eating out. And so, you know, just to look at the menu and choose your food, and they're going to all these new and interesting restaurants I had never been to. And it just, I was good then, but when I got home, it just really hit me hard, like how addicted I was with eating out, you know, eating out, like just looking at menus, choosing my meal. Oh, what do they have for vegans? You know, and I just wanted to eat. I wanted to eat like these. I hadn't felt hunger in this, you know, since like the first 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden, this hunger feeling just came over me, and it just was a want to eat out at a restaurant. It was specific, you know, wanting to eat out at a new restaurant I had never been to. I went on a rampage of like looking up restaurants, exploring menus, looking at the pictures of the food. I mean, I felt like I was going crazy, literally going crazy. You guys are laughing. I know it's very familiar, but
Been there, done that. I'm with
I
you,
know,
Latrice. Been there,
I
done
know.
that. But I feel like you can enjoy the experience. So I personally, because my family likes to go out, so I go to family dinners quite often. And you know what? I enjoy the experience. I look at the menu, I see the options. I even think, what would I order? What would I do? Because we like to do that. We like to have fun and explore and adventure. And I bring my grape juice with me, and when everyone's eating, I just sip on my grape juice, and you can still enjoy the experience. But I've really been there and done that. I've explored the menus and gone on Google Maps and looked at restaurants. So
Oh my
I'm here with
God, that's
you.
exactly what I've been doing. But I was doing that when I was going with them. I totally had my juice, you know, I was fine with it. It wasn't until I got home in my solitude, you know, because I'm on vacation right now. And so I have a lot of time on my hands.
Yeah.
And I'm in solitude and meditation a lot. And like you guys were talking earlier, the mirror of truth. Yeah, this is exactly what's facing me. I have no distractions. You know, I'm not going to work 8 hours or however long a day. I'm not bringing work home. You know, it's just me, myself, and I in the fasting state, you know, with the mirror of truth, you know, right there. And yeah. And so I went on a complete rampage of exploring. Yeah, you're right. Google Maps. Oh, what city can I look at now? What vegan restaurants do they have? And I haven't eaten cooked vegan food in 2 years, you know, but I'm looking at cooked. I'm looking at this and that. I'm saying, oh, when I end the fast, I'm going to be eating this, you know, and none of that is really in the cards for me right now. You know, I'm not going to be eating any of that when I modify the fast, because there is no breaking this. So it's, yeah, I did that for about a good week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And then it kind of satiated where I just didn't, it started to look disgusting, you know? And so I'm like, okay, that's a good sign. Let's get the grape juice and let's continue what we're doing here, you know? But also just the, some emotions were also heavy emotions coming up again. And I've been feeling at a calm peace for, you know, months now. But so this another wave of loneliness and just, I don't know, feeling like I'm on this kind of crazy journey alone, and the whole, why me, you know, why did I choose to do this in this lifetime? Why do I have to be the example? You know, these kind of things started to come up. And those have come up in the past, you know, but I've worked through it and, you know, just going on my merry way. But yeah, a big wave of it came up to, yeah, just be integrated more and released. I get that. But while you're going through it, it feels like hell. You know, it's hard. And just, it's hard to stay on your path. And then my daughter, who's been a raw vegan with me for 2 years, she just decided she was going to eat cooked food. And so, you know, that too has been, sorry, that too has been really hard for me, you know, because she's been kind of like my partner. She's not on Master Fast, but, you know, she did do a 21-day raw juice fast. And when she ended her fast, she ended it with fruit, because now I know more from the Master Fast, like, you better end it with fruit. You better not go too crazy, you know, blah, blah. And she ended it with fruit. And then the very next day, I don't know what happened. She just completely, you know how it is. It brings up the feeling of wanting to eat because it's coming up to be healed. And so she just went and she ate, and she sent me pictures of what she ate. And I'm just like, okay. So then I felt a real heavy kind of depression and loneliness come up, which, you know, if it's there to come up, then it's there. It needs to be released. It's obviously in there, you know, which is good. But while I was going through it, it felt really devastating. It felt really devastating because she's been my partner in this kind of this, you know, food and less food, more healthy, you know, until more of a fasting state. She's not master fasting though, but, you know, so yeah, so it's been a very trying last 2 weeks. I feel like I'm starting to come out of it now. I'm starting to feel more at peace and at balance. But yeah, it's been kind of rough. So we'll see what the next, you know, next days bring. I don't know. It's just one day at a time. Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There's lots of changes happen when you're in the fasting state, and that whole food thing and everything. I remember first long fast I did. I used to watch the cooking channel way back then for hours sometimes, and it would just, you know, be satisfying just watching that. All different types of cooking shows. It didn't matter what they were cooking. It was just feeding on the emotion of it. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but it felt good.
Oh, and I also wanted to report, I just felt different. Well, of course I feel different, right? I'll never be the same, but my body just felt more elongated and more like I'm standing up straighter. And because I've had, you know, spinal back issues for years, and I just been going to chiropractor for almost a year now. I get my massages, you know, just a lot of self-care. I'm still keeping all that up. But so I said, you know, let me measure myself, because everyone's talking about gaining inches, and I'm short. I'm 5'2". That would be really exciting. And I don't know, you know, I feel like there is some healing going on in my back. I do have, you know, occasional mild back kind of throbbing in my back, off and on, nothing too, you know, severe. It's doable, but it's, you know, occasional. And so I measured myself, and I'm now 5'3". I have gained an inch.
1 inch.
1 inch. And that was about 4 days ago when I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy to report it to my chiropractor, and her face, if you guys could have seen it, I wish I could have took a picture of it. Her eyes got big. Her mouth dropped open. She knows I'm fasting. She's very, you know, holistic. So she's really curious. She asks me lots of questions every time I go, which is every 2 weeks. And she said, oh my gosh, that has to be your disc rehydrating. And I'm thinking in my head, well, that's exactly what Gino said. He doesn't have your degree. But
no degrees needed.
Exactly. We have spirit. And so yeah, she says that, and she goes, oh my God, I've heard of that happening, but in extremely rare cases. Like, that's completely rare. You're like a walking miracle. Like, oh my God, I can't wait to do your new x-rays. You know, we're going to do them in September. I can't wait to see what it reveals. And I'm just smiling.
It's very rare outside of the realm of MFS. So here it's pretty much everybody who goes through it will
exactly
experience at least some height that's regained. You know, it's obvious what's going on.
Right, exactly. So I'm really thrilled to report that, and I'm not done yet. So we'll just see what it ends up being.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Like, yeah, was it Lena who she went over 2 inches? That was most somebody's gained. That's a lot. An inch is a lot, but over 2 inches. My goodness gracious! You'll notice an inch on somebody. Like I said, for me it was 3/4 of an inch, and my yoga teacher, my original yoga teacher, he noticed it on me. Just 3/4 of an inch. So like an inch, 2 inches. You're gonna see that. So it's awesome. It's just awesome. And you could feel it, the movement in the spine, how much it increases, right? Because it's got more space. Obstructions move out, space increases until we turn into nothingness. Back to the light. That's awesome. And people will still criticize and bash of things they've never done, know little or nothing about, right? It's just okay. We're here doing it. I don't know what you guys are doing, but we're doing it. Oh, man. Where are we at? Oh, we're almost at 2 hours. My goodness gracious.
I still want to finish off with my prayer thing, but in case Sue wants to talk, or Cynthia, anyone else, I just want to finish off with that prayer thing.
We're okay.
Oh, Sue, I was hoping you're going to jump on and say something, you beautiful soul sister, you. You know how last week I was talking about my intention for the July full moon was always about how to learn about these high energy fields. Mm-hmm. So the space that I'm in is I don't sleep much, right? So usually maybe 4 hours, as you know, but I'm high. I'm high continually, especially after my 24-hour dry fast that I did on Friday. It was like doing my 3-day dry fast, literally, because literally I know my 3-day dry fast always puts me in some sort of, that swirling motion and everything. And so before your soul knows you're doing the dry fast, it happens prior to that. So these things start to happen because I don't know, this relationship that you build with the soul, these patterns form, right? And these patterns I feel are uniquely for you. And and the soul knows, right? You just know. It just happens. And so before this 24-hour drive, I just went into this high state yet, again. It was actually nearly higher than when I did when I was dancing, right? So it was just so high, and I have to be, the soul had, I actually demanded in some ways for the soul to guide me on how I manage this, because I didn't want to do what the other people are being taught to do, which is to have food to down the state. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in learning how I contain it and how I know service is in it. You've got to serve it out. So I was pretty high, and when I'm high, it's like I'm in party mode. So it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of laughter, it's a lot of joy. There's a lot of swirling going on in the body. People will feel this when you get more NT, you feel the swirling in your body, or you might have glimpses of it now. So all that happens. And then that surrender thing, Gina, I harp on it and I harp on it and I harp on it, because it is actually the power when you completely surrender and be devoted, okay, to that energy field or to the divine and God, right? When you really learn, the soul guides you to do it, right? So when you know you're in that spot of complete devotion, and it's not what you think it is. Like I used to think about it beforehand what it was. It's not what you think it is or what you've been taught by spiritual people. It may be a little bit like that, but when you're actually in the experience of it, that is the only moment that you know. That's the only moment that you know. Okay, so I know I was thinking about how do I serve my family, my MFS family? How do I help them if I'm going through these experiences? And Gina, I fully believe you now. I never believed you before that the few do this. I even know now, like when you look at all these other pranic people and breatharian people and all this sort of stuff, they are eating. When I try and have some conversations with some of these people. May I tell you, they're eating. And when you talk to them, and I know they're going through their process, and I honour their soul, and they've got to go through their journey. But when you talk to people, you know when they're eating, right? You just know it. You just know it. So I can't listen to them. So your thing about feeling lonely, Latrice, it gets lonelier as you go deeper. So, but it's not a lonely path, because the ability to be with with God and the divine and that energy field becomes more and more important, because there's nobody doing this. There isn't really that many people doing this. And the ones that are doing it, they're pretty much on their own. You know, it's very hard to come out, because I don't want to come out either, because I'm already feeling this pressure to go out more, and I don't want to. So soul contains me in this MFS family. Okay, and I said, soul, I've got to serve. You know, I can't, you know, what do I do to help? And he goes, well, the one thing is like you breathe prayer into people. So you breathe the breath and the sound, which is that field, is what you tap into, even though we talk it through our English language, which is through the mind and it's limited, is what you tap into, and you breathe. I don't know where that's come from, Gina, because I don't usually know. I'm not reading any spiritual texts. This is 100% inward, 100% inward. Lots of people are trying to draw me out to their spiritual realms and texts. You know, some of them they're all truths, but I'm not listening. I'm going the energy field way. I wanted the soul to teach me all the way through. So I tap into that. So the prayer thing for what I did last night, do you know, it was a moment. It's only a moment. So the limitless place comes in, bang, you trust it, you surrender, a moment, you throw it out straight away. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't understand it. I don't have to understand it. I just got to be in that moment. So, okay, I want to serve my MFS family, people that are in my soul, people that are on my energy field. Okay, so I put that out. I have no expectations, right? But my energy field was so high, I did it. I just went into it. I tapped into people's fields. Okay, I had people telepathy me. I know I did, because I was still praying for them when I was sleeping. The prayers were still going out of me. There was still the breath and the sound of the prayers was still being released through me. And I just thought, wow, and my energy field probably took about 2-3 hours, maybe. It just neutralized. Gina, please, I don't know if anyone can ever believe me in this, but it just went down and it just neutralized. The ability when you're in that surrender of the divine, and it's got nothing to do with you. You know, all the stuff we talk about, you know, it's got nothing. No. It's just all intellect stuff, right? Mind, crap, playing with you, these thoughts are all just being release, all it is. But when you get to a space, when you have those moments of space, because we all have those moments of space in between the thoughts, in between the sounds, right? We have that moment. But when you go into this fasting MFS realm, is that those moments of space actually expand. So you kind of pop into this field. Thank you for understanding, Gina. So you pop into this field and you're in it, and then you must, with the intention and emotion that you say, you must act on it. Because when you're given so many rewards, if you don't act on it, you'll go back and you'll struggle into the physical. So you'll go back to food, you'll go back to, you know, that sort of stuff. So you have to keep continuing on. And the mirror of truth comes up. Yeah, you've got to deal with all that stuff. But that prayer thing was just, I don't know what was going to happen, if it was going to help. And then I got feedback of people saying that they felt energy fields, or they felt help, or that people were sending me messages wanting me to pray for other people. The compassion that, like, I think the MFS family had, that compassion for others, not even for yourself. You wanted it more for others. Like, I cried. I went, my goodness gracious me, you want it for this person. You're suffering, but the other person's not suffering as much as you, but you want it for that other person. Like, I go, wow, that ends up expanding that field strength even higher, because it's not about us. And then even when I prayed on your group and, whatever, even that person asks for it, that prayer may not be for them, it's actually for you. So it's actually for someone else that's struggling in that moment. And because the field strength, when a person voices an opinion or something, it's an energy force that happens, right? So when they're in it and they are in receipt of it, then that expands more so to other people in the realm of MFS and probably beyond. So what the realizations I had being in it, even sleeping through it, because realizations were given to me in my sleep, because there's people pulling heaps of prayers out of me. The breath was just, given. The sound was, and I didn't have to do it. It's the thing, you don't have to do anything, Gino. You know what I mean? It's just in it. So that was a very, very interesting experience. And obviously I'll go back on the page and finish off all those other prayers. But to think that you can, down your energy field in the moment of surrender to say yes to the divine, and then you serve it, man, it's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. So you get what you asked for. And I honestly agree with this one. If you think this is hard, it's going to be hard. If you think it's going to be smooth and you trust, it's that way. Whatever you think about, whatever you conceive, you think about happens. So when the mind is also being released, as I was talking about that last week. So when the mind gets released through this process, that's when the power really becomes, because the mind is only in operation of the soul now. You still go into your mind sometimes, but you know what I mean? Like, majority of your moments and that space is expanded, the more that the mind will also is surrendered to the soul, and the more that the mind becomes trusted, and the more the mind feels safe. So that all happens automatically, but you can't get caught up. Can I just say this? You can't get caught up on the low emotional fields. If they happen, you've got to allow them to give you your teaching really quickly, and let it flow through. Because if you get stuck in it, you could be stuck in it for decades, right? So the key thing is always to release. So then you get into these states, Gina, and that's what happens. And so now the soul, the manifestation's happening. So the intention for my July full moon, right, was that, even back in June, right? So the intention arose through June into the July. I set the intention. I meditated on the intention. I'm in the prayer of the intention. I'm asking, right? Sometimes I'm demanding, right? And then it flows through at the time that you are ready to receive it, in order for the action to happen, the service or the intention, seed of the emotion to really intend that through your vessel. So your vessel has to be empty, right? Has to be clean. And that's how I'm feeling the patterns are kind of forming for me. So as we move into the August full moon, which is, I'm so excited about August full moon, because the new moon is when you'll set the intention, and then it will manifest more so as you go into the full moon. But you see, Gina, the reason why I'm excited about August is because 26th of August is when I started my first 108. Okay, it was very much after my birthday on the 23rd of August. So the soul had this all set up around my birthday, and I didn't even know then. See, I didn't know. That's what I mean. You don't have to know. You don't have to it has to be a pull. Always has to be a pull. And that's when I'm going to get into like all people are called to fast. All people are called to fast. But I believe now, reflecting back, there are a few that are chosen. So when you talk about being part-time, yes, surrender to the part-time, because we are all called to rest our digestive system so the divine can come in, right? But there are very few that are chosen. And you've got to really listen to that, because if you go all the way and you push yourself all the way because I want, it's nothing to do about I want. It's about I surrender. Because the surrender will take you to where the place is chosen. And if it's eating part-time, it's okay, because that's the place I've chosen. So that's where this is all happening now. Like everything you've said in the beginning, from the day I've met you, Rana and Gina, is all correct. But then you've got to live through the experience, and then you've got to be in the experience. And I'm sorry to say, but I just love my MFS family so much that I'm not going anywhere. So I'll continue to be in this space if you allow me to be who I am through the divine. And if you're able to let me to receive this, then I'll just keep manifesting it through, because I don't think there's anywhere else I can actually really do this stuff. So, yeah. Well, he's teaching me anyway. So, thank you.
Awesome.
You love it. I know. We all love it, hey?
We love our MFS family.
Oh, how's your jaw? Just came to me, your teeth.
It's good. I feel a lot better. I have a little small hole in my gum, but I've been cleaning it out, and I've been doing the salt rinses, and
Awesome.
I feel great. And I just going off what Ranjit was saying, by the way, I love you, Ranjit. Thank you for sharing. I love this community, you know. Giorgio was sharing a few posts on Facebook, and no, actually not sharing posts. He was replying to comments on Facebook, and I just messaged him. I said, out of everything you see online, you know, all these people speaking from the monkey mind, it's so refreshing. It feels so good to see you speak truth on everything. And coming to this group and coming to the Facebook page every day, it's like, it's such a breath of fresh air, because this group understands so deeply, and I don't know, surrender. Yeah, I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, you know, it's this is a very unique path, and we get chastised and all kinds of things out there. And you know, as Elaine says, everybody's convinced she's got an eating disorder. Meanwhile, they're filling their mouth 24 hours a day. So, yeah, okay, we got the eating disorders. Yeah, that's why we don't want to eat no more. So just let us be. You know, you guys can have our fill. We'll give it to you. So, you know, it's it's 3 decades of fasting lifestyle, and nothing's changed out there. You know, a little bit more people experimenting with fasting, but because it's marketing and stuff, people are doing it that way, but not much has changed. Like I said, I think it's more challenging now than ever, because back then there's no phones, no internet, none of those distractions. So it was a much more peaceful way of living generally, without all that stuff, I think, because it wasn't all those distractions all the time. You had to organize things, you know, like if you have to meet somebody, something, you have to be able to reach them at home, because there's no cell phones. You have to organize the time and place. Whereas now we don't use any of that stuff. We rely on computers, right, to do all that stuff. So quite a different era that we're living and it's all good. It's all wonderful and everything, but it's not something that I don't think that we're used to in this physicality to get bombarded like that. At the soul level, you know, you can do a million things at the same time at millions of times the speed of light. And it's no problem, right? But in this realm, it's a slow motion realm, and it's kind of a shock, I guess, for us because we're always being told that it's not possible and this, that. So our monkey mind comes in and tries to limit us. And you know, I think we can do it in the physicality as well. If we, if for example, bringing up a child, you just think about how many times we say no to a child, and just think about doing it all over again and not saying no ever. You think that's a possibility in this realm? You know how much effort that would take to get into that place of consciousness? It would take no effort once you're in that place, but to change to that state, to, you know, being able to bring up a child, to be fully expressed through his soul or her soul, and not telling them when they have to eat or drink or what to do or anything. That would be a whole different ballgame. But can you imagine what would come out? You know, you'd have a magnificent creative genius because the soul's working at that level. So, you know, we're dabbling in all these things, and it's awesome, Ranjit, what you shared, you know, right on ball with my experiences of tapping into those limitless realms. It just comes through so clear, and the more you do it, the more clearer it gets. It gets scary sometimes. Holy Jesus, Murphy! How come nobody else can see this? Am I cuckoo? But it just comes clearer and clearer and clearer the more you go down this path as the years go by, and you just wish, why can't, you know, people just see this, you know? But it is what it is, and we all have our paths of experiences for a purpose, and we continue going because it's all beautiful.
You know, it's hard enough for us to change ourselves, so it's definitely much harder to change somebody else. So I would say, you know, let's just focus on being the change, and I am sure that we are going to affect, you know, by changing ourselves, we're affecting everybody around us, and then everybody around, you know, so we are affecting, I mean, that's, I would say the most powerful thing we can do really is to change ourselves. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what anybody thinks, and it doesn't matter what anybody, whether they change or not, whether they see the truth or not. Whatever path they choose is their choice and their journey. And for us, it shouldn't affect us, really. It shouldn't affect our lives. It really shouldn't. Even though we share the same planet, you know, it shouldn't really affect us when we are strong enough, I would say. So, but we have to change, and that's the hard part, that we have to change. Yeah.
Yeah, anytime you try and force somebody to do something, you're going down the wrong path.
We can't even force ourselves to change.
It's just once you come into the knowing, that's all you need, the knowing, and it's through the experiences over and over and over. I found, you know, allowing others to express themselves the way they choose. That's the whole other thing, and allow them to do things that you are not comfortable with, and so on and so forth, because this is the realm of physical experiences, and there's lessons for all of that in everything we do. So you just embrace it all. And if there are situations where it's very uncomfortable, it's time to change the circumstances and move on. So you can express the soul in different realm of things.
But I would say that that's very rare that somebody will really, really make it uncomfortable for you. I mean, if we really think about it, it's rare that somebody will make it very uncomfortable.
Well, I can hear one too many times where families put people in a situation to go back to treatment based, and they're no longer here. They were just too overwhelmed from that energy,
but you see,
of
that's it.
fear through the family and friends, that they did it against their will of what they knew they wanted to do.
Yeah, but that's where I'm saying we have to change. We cannot allow somebody else to. They can't force anybody. Your family loves you at the end of the day, and they want the best for you. But
If you're
not
living
against your will.
If you're living in a place and you want to fast and everybody's totally against you day in and day out, how much are you going to be able to take? Most people are going to have a challenge with that. There are going to be a few that it won't phase them, but most people will have a challenge with that. And that's what we see. People having challenges with that. So,
hey, Gina, this is where I feel, that planned preparation prior to going, just say if you're doing a long one, for example, even 40 days.
Yeah.
You have to I remember I reflected back about what I did. I just went into my strategic mode. Like my mind's trained to be strategic. It's to see risk analysis. Okay, that's what the world taught me, risk analysis. So I risk analysed everything as much as I possibly could, because there is a place of the unknown because you haven't been in it. But your family, your friends, your work colleagues, the situation, this, right? You can't blame MFS for this. So there's that personal responsibility. So if you're going to do a long one, you really got to, and I knew this was going to be a transformation. So I already knew, what does transformation mean? You become a new being, right? Not this stuff they talk about in coaching or whatever they go on about. You transform you for an event, okay? This is where people look at it as an event. So this is a personal, life-changing transformation. So if you're going to do a 108, right, you have to be so strategic. You've got to know your environment in and out. Who is going to be the people that support you, right, in your space? So this group obviously will be. What do you got to do in order to risk analyze all your parameters around what you're going through? So we're not unintelligent people. We're very intelligent people. Our mind is very intelligent. But however, we like to blame others, right? Because that's just as we say, the program, which I've actually debunked that. It's not. So the strategy that you've got to put in when you're doing a life transformational thing is you've got to be gung-ho. You can't just say, I've done a juice diet and I never come from specifically juice, raw, and then fruit, right? I've done it before in the past, but ages ago. It didn't sustain me. It was limited. Okay, I knew that. So if you're going to come from all that and you think, now I'm going to jump in and everything's going to be all right. No, Master Fast Realm is very powerful, more powerful than any fruit. Sorry, people that eat fruit. Fruit's very, very good, okay? But it's more powerful than having fruit juices and fruit. It's a completely different thing, okay? So go watch the interviews. Go do your homework. Go plan and prepare. Be strategic. And then when you go through it, you have a little bit of an idea. Okay, yeah, I see what I'm going through now. Yeah, I understand it. And sometimes you go into these unknown experiences and you go through it. But everyone around you that you love and care about is going to be affected in some form. If they see you lose, like for my instance, okay, I dropped 25 kilos or whatever. Okay, so in my first round, people are going to notice that. So why wouldn't you think people are not going to notice that? Come on. Of course they're going to see you being skinny. Like, are you strategically planned for that? Of when that actually happens and people see you maybe at 40 kilos, Not everyone gets down to 40 kilos, by the way, because I haven't. Okay, so maybe that might happen. So you've got to plan, and I planned for that too. I plan for if I go skin and bone. What do I do? How do I manage it? I know the body rebuilds itself. Okay, so maybe I go hot. This is just me. Maybe I go away for 3 months and hide if I get that, and let my body rebuild itself. So these are the things that you got to do, and sure, it affects everyone, but you know what? You're worth it. If you were called to do this and you were chosen, you're worth it. So that's where you got to go in a full life-changing transformation. And if you can't do it, then you, like what you and Rana have set up, the levels and the part-time thing, because do that. If you're not willing to do all the other stuff, don't do a long 108. Just don't do it. Because honestly, you're going to end up blaming Master Fast System, our realm. We don't want your blame. Okay? We just want you to be transformed so you have a better human experience. And it's not fair on any of us. You know, the caca that everyone cops, like you and so many, even I cop a bit of caca. I only get a little bit of caca. And, you know, I just think, why put this on me? This is your emotional journey. This is your emotional experience and responsibility. How dare you put emotional stuff and put that on me? I didn't invite that in. So you need to look at that stuff yourself in the mirror of truth. But we come together to support each other. We come together and we support the fastest because we know what we're going through. Okay, we know that. But you need to do your part. So you need, so I'm preaching now, but you need to be strategic and really think about your parameters. I know most of us here have here because we're here listening, right? The ones that are doing it have thought this stuff, but the ones that go listen to this recording, don't just think this is just going to be in an event, like you've gone to, you know, doing a juice fast for 2 months. It ain't going to be like that, you know. A juice fast is still eating, right? You're still digesting. You're still doing that. This is something completely another realm. It's a, you know, it's a power beyond power that you will never ever experience. I haven't experienced in my lifetime for sure. 49 years, right? So this is very, very different. And yeah, I just wanted to say that, to be strategic in about that sort of stuff and go listen to all the interviews because they tell you. Yeah, they tell you.
Thank you, Ranjit.
Awesome.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you.
All right, guys. We can wrap it up if anybody else.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's you have to you want to know what you're getting into. Don't rush into this just because of whatever reason. Yeah. I mean, I've seen people rush into it and rushed out of it as well. Yeah, you have to know what you're doing for sure, especially if you're not new to cleansing and detoxing and fasting. You have to know what you're doing. You have to read the protocol and study it and watch as many videos as you can. Come join us here on Facebook.
Zoom.
I just want to say one thing real quick. For me, I did 100 days about 2 years ago, and I back in February kind of started jumping back in and dry fasting 1 day a week and drinking the juice and getting back in. But I keep it on a low profile because my husband is totally not supportive of anything that I'm doing. And even though I lost weight and I looked great when I did the master fast, and people told me how wonderful I looked and my kids thought I looked great, my husband doesn't like it when I'm too thin because other people notice me. I shine too brightly. So for me, it's just being able to do the lifestyle and keep it on the down low. and not, because part of it is not so much that I care about what he says, it's what he says to my daughter, because he can be rather negative and she's too young to understand. So anyway, but it's my story, I'm sticking to it. And I love tomatoes out of the garden and peaches and cherries, but I have trees on my property, so
Awesome.
peaches and that kind of stuff. So they call my name. Oh. But anyway.
So so for you, you have your husband who is very close to you and not very supportive. It's hard. It's a bigger challenge than most people. And
he'll look at me because he's like, well, if your health goes south and you know, you have health issues, and then I have to be responsible for you. And he has aches and pains. He can't even run anymore because he's got hip issues and just, you name it. He has problems swallowing. He can't eat very fast. I mean, there's all these things, and he can't even see that I don't have any of those issues.
And he's worried about you?
And he's worried about me.
The fear,
Yeah. Well, projection, I think sometimes when people are projecting things, it's really what's coming out of him that he's worried about his health, but he puts it on me. So, but he's not willing. Every once in a while I'll say, well, there are things that you can do, but you know, he doesn't want to do anything different. So
it's, of course, you're in a very difficult place, more than most of us, I would say, because when your husband is not being your partner is not being supportive, it's really a lot of stress on the person, because you live together, and also you have the kids in the middle. Again, the only way for anybody, whether it's easy or hard, like more challenging, like your situation, at the end of the day, it's about us being the change. It's going to be the same for everyone, except it's harder for you. But we have to be the change, and by you changing, maybe he will. We have to learn to just do our best. And I know I don't. I know I'm doing much more than what I'm doing.
I just don't announce things anymore. Like, a couple years ago, I'd say, okay, I'm fat, I'm on this fast, or like 3 years ago when I did my first 18-day just green juice fast, he knew I was doing it. But this year I just don't say anything, and he does know that I dry fast every Monday. But other than that, I don't say anything else.
I'm sure your food is very different, right? The way you
Oh yeah, very different. Oh yeah. I mean, his is basically, steak and potatoes, and he thinks eating fruit is too much sugar, but yet he'll run down to See's Candy and buy, 2 pounds of chocolate almond squares and eat them. But yeah, it's
so you have kind of grown very differently in that way.
Yeah, he says I've changed a lot, but I read Fit for Life when I was 25, and when I was about 30 I went vegetarian, so I still did I kind of switched to doing goat cheeses and that kind of stuff. So I always worked in the direction of it really was when I did research for my brother about 7 years ago. He had cancer, and doing my research made me go vegan very quickly. That even dairy wasn't a good thing. So, but yeah. So he says since then I've been a different person, but I don't think it's in a bad way.
It's great to change. I mean, you know, stagnation is disease, right? I mean, yeah. I mean, what kind of excuse is this that we have changed? Thank God we have changed, you know, like,
yes.
I mean, you want to be stagnant and not grow and not learn, you know, we might as well die, right?
Yeah. Well, I've tried to share some things or just, but you know, if somebody isn't open and they don't want to read it and they think they have all the answers, you're just not going to, I know I've prayed a lot about this, you know, where I try and like, I want there to be some door that will open for him. I don't want it to be a bad one. I mean, sometimes people have to have, you know, some kind of wake up call, but I just wish that it could be some other kind of call where it just the door would open enough that he would even look. But you know,
smoother change. Well, as I said, I think the best thing would be for us to be our best selves and to pray for the others.
Yeah.
Cynthia, I just wanted to say, I think the door is probably open for him because your field strength would be, as you know, projecting. Then what happens that, you know, they talk about the antenna that opens up, so the receptor. So when he's out and about talking to other people, they will talk about because fasting's very, it's scientifically proven now. Yeah, so people know about, like, it's really funny. I have friends or family who weren't open or anything, and they tell me about fasting. And they so it's like, oh yeah, that's right. If you at the autophagy and all this stuff, you know, like they go, oh yeah, that works. Oh yes, and so like they tell me, I just smile because I'm doing spirit. Mine's a soul journey, but I think for you, yeah, I think it's probably is happening. And then what you said about the projection, it's probably very, very strong because you know how you can't tell the people that you're closest to what you're doing. They won't receive it from you, but they'll receive it from others. But they still, so he will still receive your field strength. So your prayers, if you're praying in that will still work through. But the receptivity for him to accept that he's unwell, got to bring up this stuff, it may take a lot longer for him. Probably doesn't want to get it from you, may want to get it from other people, even though you're working on him. I reckon it'll happen. I really feel it may just take a lot longer. But it will happen for you.
It's, you know, he's an old dog, and he knows that, you know, he knows some stuff about nutrition. I mean, you know, but he wants an eating buddy, and I'm not the eating buddy. My daughter is. So my almost 15-year-old daughter and him, are, you know, indulge in a lot of stuff that you know.
Suboptimal.
So they just look at me like I've lost my mind, and it's okay. I don't mind it at all. I'd rather lose my mind.
Yeah, you know, some people will just not going to change. I've been doing this 3 decades, and just no matter what, they will not change. So it's okay. You know, I have tons of friends, and
your mother was not open to change.
No, my mother's never open to change. So, you know, it's we love them all the same, and you know, we support them in their choices. But they're all in pain and suffering and misery, and scratching their heads looking for that magic pill, right? Because they're not willing to do the work. So,
well, he's of the old school. Like, as long you can eat whatever you want, it's fuel in, fuel out. As long as you work out, then you burn the calories.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter what junk you put in your body. I'm trying to talk to him even just about like things that are not genetically altered, or, you know, things that aren't processed, you know, and things like that. And it just, you know, it's like he wants to eat his Ritz crackers and, you know, and eat his chips.
Yeah.
So.
Of course. Yeah. I've been dealing with this for a long time, and it's just, it is what it is. And we do the best we can in the situations we're in. And,
Yeah.
like, as, Ranjit says, by, you being that change, that field strength, if there's anything that's going to be effective, it's that. And eventually his soul's going to give him a kick in the butt and say, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? That's what usually happens if it's meant to be. Just keep being who you want to be, and love and support him for who he is, and that's all you can do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you were dealing with your mother before you passed. I'm doing that now.
Yeah. Well, my mom, the thing with her, she did okay with green juices, but every single time I tried to incorporate the grape juice, she just would complain about her stomach. It just didn't agree with her. I tried watering it down a little bit. I tried all kinds of stuff, and she just, it just, and I know I look back and wish that I could have pulled her along more and helped her more. And it really, I know I have a girlfriend that's very supportive. She's like, Cindy, you did everything. Like don't beat yourself up. So, she was on her journey too. So you always want something different for them than they want,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's time, the soul's it's completed its journey, and it moves on, right? And that's what we have to come to the realization. We do the best we can. We want to keep them here. It's usually because of our selfish needs and stuff, but every soul's got a journey, and we have to learn to allow that process to unfold the way it's supposed to unfold, and bless them and elevate them, and bon voyage to the next journey.
Yeah.
We can have fun through all those realms.
Well, she's with she missed my dad. My dad left 5 years before her. And exactly. I know that was, and she had some childhood traumas that she still, like, to the bitter end was holding on to some stuff with my grandmother. And I'm like, Grandma died 25 years ago. We got to let this go. But she did not want to let it go.
Emotion. That's what I'm going through now, right? With my mother's. These are generations that didn't reveal any emotions. So
yeah, I feel very thankful for my mother, though, because one of the things I was even telling my daughter the other day is that my mom was really always very loving and kind, and like, even if we broke something or something happened as a kid, like, I never had to lie about it. I could say, yeah, I accidentally dropped this glass or tipped this vase over, and it was just like, let's just clean it up. And she never made where things were ever more important than people. Right. And I really thank her for that, because I see that, especially through my older sons, I see that they reflect that too. And it's very nice. It's to see when they interact with other people that people are more important than things. So,
Awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I'm thankful that she was my mom. So.
She still is. You can communicate anytime you want.
I try and give her virtual hugs, but they just, I don't know. It's not the same.
They can be stronger.
I feel like she travels with me. I mean, I talk to her when I'm doing stuff. And so, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, you can't be separate. You come from.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Gino.
You're welcome. You keep going.
I will. Don't worry. I'm preparing myself. I want to do a longer fast. And I thought it was going to be this summer, but the fruits just got the better of me. So.
Enjoy
it. I will. I figure just keep doing what I'm doing, and it'll just naturally flow.
Yeah, stay connected on the page and the calls. It's really, I don't see how people can do it this day and age without a support system. It's just very difficult.
Yeah, it's nice to have you here today.
We're gonna have to do more of these calls.
I'm trying to set my phone alarm to remind me, because sometimes it'll be over and you've already posted it, and I'm like, dang, I was gonna jump in there and listen today. Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm on California time, so
Yeah.
3 hours.
yeah. Oh. But in August I'll be in your time frame. I'm going to the Woodstock Fruit Festival, so
Oh, awesome.
hang out with a lot of happy souls.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Very nice.
yeah.
All right, guys. We'll call it a close for tonight.
Thank you so much for staying. We stayed a bit later today, but
Every day we're staying late. It's okay. So, well, thank you again, everyone, for joining, inspiring, and supporting each other. This is why we're here. This is the only way I see us moving forward, in service to others. And it's a blessing to be part of this. And we thank you again.
thank you.
So we'll see you all.
Love you.
Yeah,
Bye.
love you too. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Love you too. Good night.
Bye, Lisa.